I've got a question, and it's from somebody who's just calling themselves Inky.
Okay.
Do you do your best work when you don't think too hard about it? Basically, yes.
Yes.
All of us, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
There's some context. Shall I read it out?
Yeah.
Sometimes I find myself trying too hard. There's the pressure of someone paying me for this. I work predominantly in traditional watercolour and ink. I do the roughs without thinking. It flows. I make happy mistakes. I love what I'm doing. Then when it comes to the final pieces, using good quality paper, I freeze. I struggle to remind myself to get out of my own way, she says in capital letters.
Nice.
Do you get this? What do you do to get out of your own way and switch off the overthinking? This is one of my favourite questions. I love this.
Go on, what would you do? What's your first thoughts, Helen?
Well, it just makes me think about, oh God, my brain's gone. It's like so many directions. But one is, I think my best drawing is drawing from life and under pressure, like full stop. And then, so if I'm out and about with my sketchbook work is always automatically great because there's no pressure. I don't mean every piece is good. I mean, I just really enjoy it. And some of the best things happen in those sketchbooks. And it's even better if it's raining or it's dark and it's raining and it's washing some of the picture off the paper, so I have no control, or it's dark and I can't see what I'm doing and I've got to put my finger on the paper and work my way back to it in the drawing, or if I'm in people's way and I know I need to hurry up and get the drawing done to get out of the way. Like all of those things that make you have another conversation in your head, like something else is distracting, mean that the best drawing happens because you can't overthink. It's always something unpredictable. Happy mistakes happen. I just love that kind of drawing.
Is it urgency, or is it that part of the brain is preoccupied with something else? It's a bit like, I can only fall asleep, and lots of people say it now, when you've got a podcast on or anything that snags the lizard brain and keeps it away from your mind.
Yeah.
Because then you get to a zone of when you're in a kind of zone, because the main annoying brain is switched off. So if it's an urgent situation or you're worrying about rain.
It's made me think about, so I've realised over about the last year, I don't know if anybody else has noticed it on the podcast. Maybe I only feel it. Maybe you can't hear it. I really don't know. But I've been getting tension in my voice sometimes when we're recording a podcast. And so I decided to speak to a voice coach who works with actors about this. And she said, okay, so tell me all the situations where this happens. And I was like, number one, podcast, the end. And she said, does it happen if you're like on stage or talking to an audience or art club where we draw while we chat? I was like, no other situation. And especially not at art club. And she said, that's really interesting because she was trained by a very famous voice coach, and she told me her name, but I've forgotten who it was. And this woman used to get actors to draw while they were speaking. And the physical act of moving their arm around the paper while speaking took this, because actors specifically can get problems with their voices and stress in their voice. And the act of drawing would stop the voice stress.
Wow.
So for a while I thought, okay, well, what I need to do on the podcast now is just bring a piece of paper and a pen. But actually, I think just by talking about it with her, it seems to have weirdly cured it, or it stopped it. I don't know.
They do a bit more
isn't
planning.
that interesting? That when your brain is preoccupied with something else that is like playful, then that...
But because that is the version of not thinking about it too much. That's what it means, isn't it? Because you are not applying your whole focus to that artwork because you're perhaps thinking about something else, or you're doing those kind of drawings where you think, okay, so what does this look like? Oh, I'll map it out roughly. But you're giving yourself verbal instructions on how to draw in your mind, more as an act of necessity than, right, I'm being creative. Often those drawings, those quick kind of instructional drawings in your head, turn out really well. But when you apply all your focus and buy the fancy pencils and watercolours and everything, it's like, is it mental overload? You're too self-aware and you think, I could be so many different versions of myself. Am I being the right one, the correct
something
one?
About like, right now it is time to make the final piece. It's like the kiss of death, isn't it?
It really is.
Well, I remember when in fact, it happened when I was teaching you in Glasgow. I'd been in Glasgow for a year and the circumstances weren't great because I was commuting from London and all the rest of it. And it was one of my first teaching jobs and it was quite stressful. And it coincided with a period of anxiety that was so crippling. I kept having like multiple panic attacks, and they just ended up being more or less continual. I think I spent 2 months in my dressing gown, had to have time off and everything. And I went to lots of doctors and nobody knew what it was. It's not like now where everyone, it's like, yeah, that's anxiety and you're having anxiety attacks. None of them seemed to know what it was. This is 1994. It still stuns me that so recently people were unaware.
I started psychotherapy not long after that, and I didn't know a single other person doing that. Nobody spoke about it. Nobody understood what it was. Isn't that weird to think of that now?
In the context of a kind of much more open society about mental health. But eventually one doctor said, okay, well, then I can put you on propranolol, I think it's called, which is for some kind of heart thing. And they said they give this to the first violins in orchestras because the anticipation of waiting for the first violin solo in an orchestra is too much to bear, and they get shaky hands.
Wow.
So they put them on this to stop the handshake, which is related to a heart kind of thing. So effectively, it works for anxiety and the physical anticipation. But that's the same anticipation that you get when you think, okay, I've done all the roughs, now I must do the final artwork. It's first violin time, and you freak out.
Yeah, that's why you're a live illustrator, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because I struggled so much with deadlines and things. Even at school, like if there was a deadline or homework, I would either not do it or do it in the morning or do it in the lesson as I were coming around to collect the homework. And luckily I've just always been fast and like clever enough to manage and get B's and things or smile sweetly, and the teacher would be like, Katie, like, oh, you're my friend, remember, and get away with everything. But then in uni it was the same, and then obviously graduating I was like, okay, I need to like do some work now.
You've always done it.
I've always done it. But it was horrible to get jobs. I remember I got a travel journal illustration job to illustrate a travel journal, and it was all these different countries. It was like 100 illustrations or something, and the biggest job I ever got. And I just completely froze and couldn't do it. And I was just like, when's the deadline? And then would do something bad for the deadline. Oh, it was horrible, like thinking about it. Ugh. But I didn't know that I had ADHD. And I'm always like shy to talk about ADHD because I don't want it to be like, it's because I have ADHD. I don't want it to be like the reason for everything. But knowing that as a 33-year-old and looking back on my life, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, it's not because I'm an idiot. Like, not just because I'm silly or something. So I didn't know that when I started doing live illustration, but I did know that when I got up and it was just time to do it, there was no room. Like that brain thing, my brain was just like, well, I can't help you now. You've got to do the work. Good luck, I'm going. And then I was just like, okay, I can do it. And then at the end being like, I'm finished. And they're like, that's brilliant, goodbye. That is just my dream, to be like, show up, do the work and be finished, and not be like leading up to it, that anticipation thing.
Yeah, the anticipation thing is awful.
Yeah. And then, so now I can do non-live things sometimes, but it takes a lot of like many magical different things to get me working, like co-working and body doubling and visual timers and listening to special noises. And
what's body doubling?
Basically co-working, you know, when you know somebody else is doing it at the same time. So you could do it in person where you're just like working together in a cafe, but online you see the cameras on, so you're like, I can't leave because they know that I'm here and I should be working.
So really hardcore accountability with another person.
Yeah. And then also like ADHD medication and things, but like so many things to just get my brain out of the way so that I can do that.
That's so interesting, because do you remember when we did that workshop and I had a freak out when I knew how many numbers were waiting in the waiting room? Yeah. And for the first time in probably 20 years, I had a panic attack again. I was like, where did this come from? Like, what the hell? I don't get these anymore. I've overcome it. And then afterwards, the only reason I could think it was because I hadn't prepared well enough to talk about. I'd put those slides together the night before or the afternoon before in a hurry, and I needed more time. Whereas it's the opposite of you. You knew you could just fly into that and it would be okay. So our methods are completely diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
Our best favoured working methods.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody the other day and they were like, I really need to prepare as much as possible, otherwise I can't do it. Yeah, for me that is not the case.
Yeah. I have all those tricks because the person who sent in the question, Inky, was saying the fear of the expensive piece of paper. I think that is a thing.
Yeah.
So I buy expensive paper, but I buy it in huge quantity and just somehow just persuade myself it didn't cost anything. This is when I'm doing artwork for a picture book. If I'm doing a sketchbook, I buy the cheapest sketchbook I can possibly find with thin paper. I love that. The throwaway nature of it makes it doable. But obviously for a picture book, you can't hand something in on a bit of newsprint that is going to go yellow over time, or the drawing's going to fade or something. So I do buy, and because I use watercolour, I do buy watercolour paper, but I buy the kind you don't need to stretch, because I think, you hear people stretch their watercolour paper before they use it. Oh, I'd be investing time in it, and then it'd be the kiss of death. And if it went wrong, I'd have to do another piece. So I never stretch the paper. I buy good enough quality, it means you don't have to.
You do a lot of work as well. I'm always amazed to see, like, you churn out a lot of work. So I wonder if that helps you not feel like this is the artwork.
Yeah, so like the Salty Dog, thinking about the Salty Dog cover, the final version, I worked simultaneously on 5 or 6 pieces in exactly the same method. So I did all the skies, and then I did all of the colour of the characters, and then I did all of the green line, then all of the blue line, or something like that, like in stages at a time across each sheet until they were all finished, and then I chose the best one. So in the end I had 5 quite similar covers, all really loose, but one of them just sang to me a bit better than the others. And I do that with almost every piece in the book. So I do end up with a huge amount of work. And at the end you think, why did I do all that and reject all those? They're all great. But it just takes the pressure off if I'm working simultaneously on a couple of pieces at the same time. Neither of them is the final artwork in my head.
Yeah, you're hedging your bets, aren't you? It could be any outcome.
I think you could totally sell a book of your sketches.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. You might not want to.
They're kind of intimate though, aren't they? Sketches are really like, they're as close as you can get to the illustrator. There's something really fresh and raw before it's been refined.
Yeah,
so
gorgeous.
That's got a rarity and an insider feel to it. Maybe that's what will happen next. Things that are faulty and much looser because AI would clean it all up and a real person wouldn't.
Have you seen Pia Bramley's drawings of being in, I'm going to go on Instagram right now, I think New York Times. Let me just check. Pia Bramley's work is so beautiful, and it looks like she never does a rough drawing. She just does a drawing and that's it. Yeah, New York Times. She's had you guys can see, but this is no good on a podcast, is it? Yeah. But this is a series of beautiful drawings of a character.
Are they on scrap paper?
I don't know what she drew them on, but they're all in the New York Times in like the margins and the edges and the tops. And they are so beautiful, full of expression, full of life. They're just little black and white line drawings. They are so gorgeous. Opposite to AI. Yeah, a delight. Look her up on Instagram. She's Pia Bramley.
But seeing someone making kind of energetic, natural, unself-conscious marks, it's like so wild now to see it in a commercial context. We're used to seeing polished, finished things in a commercial context, and they're a bit kind of dead. They don't have any feeling. But to see something like a drawing or a scribble like that reproduced in the page of a magazine, it's almost like cartooning in a way. Cartoons were as simple as that, a quick scribble. But they have a lot more power nowadays.
Yeah, they're dead exciting. I get really excited when I see that kind of work. I feel like my eyes need it.
Well, you read the energy,
humanness,
the unself-consciousness.
Yeah.
So
this person was asking for tricks to get from that rough stage to final. I use my light box. I feel like that's a secret trick that really helps me, because I put the rough drawing on the light box, but I don't have the light. Sorry, I've spoken about this before, but I'll tell you again. I don't turn the light box up too bright, and then I put the piece of watercolour over the top. And it means I can just about see the rough underneath, but not completely, so that when I do the new drawing, it's going to take up the right amount of space. It's not going to overlap the text on the page or anything. But it's got new energy to it because it's coming out of my head again. I'm not just copying lines. I find that really helps.
Because you have to think all over again, don't you? Like, right, gear up the horses. Here we go. How did this work? Whereas if you're copying, your brain goes into the wrong relaxed zone, which is, it doesn't matter how this looks, just follow the line. And that creates that dead, bloodless
You don't get
kind
into
of drawing.
The feeling of what is happening in that picture if you're doing it again and again, or if you're trying to copy it. Also on the rough drawings, if I make a mistake, I glue a piece of paper and draw over the bit that went wrong, because if I redraw the same rough drawing again and again, then I lose what the feeling was at the beginning when I first did that drawing. So that helps.
The digital version of that is quite good as well. A lot of illustrators say when they're tackling quite a complicated drawing, they do it in parts. So even if it's not the digital version, it's the analog version, you do it maybe half the drawing, and then when it gets to adding figures or something like that, you think that could potentially destroy all the work I've done on the background. So you could do those separately on another bit of paper, scan them in, and then kind of accumulate the drawing through digital layers, even though you drew it on paper to begin with, because it's a non-destructive process. I think once the fear sets in, it doesn't help. Like, I've done so much now, the final bit could just mess everything up. You need to stay relaxed.
That probably helps when you've got like 5 on the go at once, isn't it?
It
like
really,
multiples.
that does really help.
You can't mess up, well, you could mess up the whole thing, but you've got 4 backups.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, scaling up can be a killer. So if all your sketches were quite human, what do you call it, ergonomic, they were in proportion to your hand and the piece of paper and the mark that your pencil was making. If suddenly you triple the size of that, your pencil mark looks puny, your arms have to make much bigger shapes to draw it, and the whole outcome will be different because it's not in relation to your body. So your final artwork should be the same scale that you did your roughs in, so the feeling is the same.
Yeah, and if you're going to scale up, it's handy to scale up the material. So in my book Mr. Hoot, I wanted some close-ups of the owl, and I knew that a dip pen, an owl that filled the entire page in the book, was probably blowing it up too big with the skinniness of the line. So then I used a stick dipped in ink to get a thicker line for the owl. That helps, doesn't it, if you up the size of the material.
Or the blobby technique, Katie.
Yeah, the blobby thing, we just do a blob in the shape. That helps loads, actually. Just doing
What's that?
Like making the shape and then adding the details after. So like putting the colour down.
Oh, I do that. Because if I do the drawing first, then I'll colour it in.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
It helps with measuring and stuff as well, doesn't it? Because you're thinking more in like white space, like what's around the blob. Yeah. But I found this is a list of things for getting, it's not directly about making work, but just getting started in general. Is it an acronym? INCUP. So INCUP. So it's interest, novelty, challenge, urgency, and passion. So if you can, it can bring any of them in. So if you're passionate and you're excited, you can do anything. You're just really interested and go down rabbit holes. But sometimes urgency is a big one. So an actual deadline really helps, because then you're like, I have to get it done, otherwise consequences will happen. Or timers as well. Challenge, like if it's a competition, that can really help. I don't know, like I'm trying to think of an example for competition. Maybe it doesn't really apply to do.
It makes me think of when you lost your folio, that Tania. Do you remember you were getting on the tube and you had your MA degree show coming up, or your degree, and you left your folio on the tube, and you had to have it ready.
I left it on the bus.
On the bus.
Kilburn. Don't go drinking with your portfolio is my advice to any young person.
It wasn't a competition, but it was a degree show, so you had to remake the whole folio.
Yeah, that was serious urgency. And a lot of that stuff they were monoprints. They weren't just drawings. I had to go to the print studio and start doing all these 5-stage monoprints. But I still can't remember it because I think I was in a panic, so it became a blur. But I reproduced all the work, and I don't feel that it was terrible. So it must have kind of been okay in the end. But yeah, serious urgency. Redo a whole year's work ready. But I mean, in the end, it was like something like 15 pieces, whatever a degree show is. But yeah.
It's stressful.
Did we miss the T off the end of impact?
It was INCUP, weirdly.
Oh, INCUP.
Yeah.
And I never, whole different
impact.
I'm always like, it's so useful. I will remember that, and I never ever remember it.
What about competition though? I mean, I don't like competition, so that would never motivate me.
No, it wouldn't me either. A competition never
walk
would.
Away.
Oh, it does a little bit to me. Like sometimes it's like, oh, I will win. I will win. But like quietly, I'm not openly competitive, but sometimes behind the scenes I'm like, I will destroy you. But
we don't even know that about you, Katie. This is really deep-seated, like primal stuff that we didn't realise.
Sometimes I just like to win, but don't talk about it or tell anyone that I'm trying to win. Nobody knows that they're in competition with me.
That's like me when Cameron planted sweet peas, and so did I. I was like, I am going to beat Cameron, but don't tell him I'm competing.
Well, you have won, because our sweet peas have been terrible the past couple of years.
Score.
Yeah. See? How good does that feel?
I'm not growing them this year. I think I've lost this year.
You don't need to anymore.
Katie's made up of whole different materials to us, isn't she? Like, I'll do it right now, but I will not be.
Do you know what puts me off a competition is that it's probably got measurements or
rules,
time frames or rules, and then I'm like, I can't be bothered to read them, therefore I'm out.
Yeah.
They should just give you the gist. That's where competitions fail with all those rules. They need a general gist because that's all illustrators take any notice of.
I like it, like if there's like for instance, there's podcast charts. We're not in a competition with other podcasts, but that sort of thing. When I see that we're in the top 10,
when it's not drawing,
when it's not drawing. Yeah,
but when it's, why do I feel differently when it's a drawing? I don't know. I think it's because all of those illustration competitions somehow they feel sterile to me. That is really, really unfair.
Well, I don't think I've ever entered one.
Yeah, I never feel into that. But yes, when the publisher was telling us where we were in the pre-sales charts, I was properly fired up.
We were both fired up.
There was a unicorn at the top the whole time, that pesky unicorn. We could not knock that unicorn off.
How do we crush the unicorn?
was this a sales chart?
Yeah.
Motivational techniques, put a unicorn on it.
Katie said to Dee, by showing us that chart, you don't know what you've done. And Dee said, yes, I do.
Yeah. She knew it. But so that's what I mean by competition, like actual illustration competitions I don't care about.
No, me neither. What is it about illustration competitions that puts me off?
I always think they're for other people, don't you?
So do I. And I think probably at the time when I would have been beneficial was probably the 90s, the early 2000s.
Didn't do it.
Okay, this is going to sound really unfair and I'm really sorry, but they felt very male. They felt like the boys would win and the boys were judging. Yeah. And so I didn't, and that is probably wrong. I don't know. It's a feeling I had.
If it was
and
the 90s,
just stopped me.
In the 90s, it probably was true.
And now they're brilliant. That whole kind of World Illustration Awards is great. And everyone should, enter them because it's the best way to get your work in front of people. You don't have to win or even get placed, but the fact that some really great art directors have seen your work from a business point of view, they're brilliant.
It's
and if
a
you do win,
place
wowza.
Now. I can see why you would enter now. I also think that in the world of publishing, at least, when you're trying to be spotted by a publisher, they need to see you in lots of different contexts where you've had like a seal of approval from other people. And I think being in a competition, even being longlisted for a competition, is another tick that says, yes, people are approving of my work. You can take a risk on me. There's some really great competitions. I really like the picture hooks competitions for picture bookmakers. They're good. Yeah, it's a different world now.
But going back to the question, she was talking about how to get into that mindset. It's the zone, isn't it? And you remember you talked before, Helen, about Blind Boy podcast, and he's got one specific one about the zone where that mind, you get into that state where you're playful, exploratory, motivated. It's probably like that INCUP thing. You're carried away and you forget what you're doing. You're learning new things through your drawing. And
he talks about that really well. You know that feeling, he gives examples of one, he had to dig a bush out of his garden and it was physically hard work and he couldn't listen to a podcast or do anything else. He just worked on that for like a whole day. And at the end of it, he felt absolutely brilliant. It was one challenge. It had a beginning and an end. It was hard work. And another one was, an example he gives is washing your car. And those jobs are so great, aren't they? They've got a very definite ending. They're not online. There's nothing at stake. It's just you getting on with your job. And he tries to get into that zone for his own writing. And he talks quite a lot about it. I'm forgetting some of the tips he gives, but one of the ones that I really like is I really like the sound of rain on a window. That really puts me in the zone. I feel like it takes me back to a childhood place of drawing when it was raining outside. Just does something to me, like physically.
Do you like the hum of the gas fire in the background?
Yeah,
as
because the caravan holidays with
caravan gas fire.
Do you remember that smell of a gas fire in a caravan and the noise, that noise, and then the rain? It always rained on holiday because we only went on holiday down the road from where we lived. So, but it was great. Mum would buy me a new pack of felt pens. I have a Velux window in the studio ceiling, and it means when it rains, those are really good work days. Because they just go off in my head.
That could be a good ship working audio, if we could tape the sound of the gas fire
Yeah.
and the rain.
Do you know what? I was
and sound
talking
of
to
scratchy
somebody
drawings.
about this the other day, and she has a caravan. She's going to lend me her caravan. Do you know I should get a caravan as a studio? Yes.
You've discovered where you need to be, Helen.
Yes.
This
We should
is it.
totally record a series of audios to work to.
Yeah.
Caravan.
Zone triggering audios.
Yeah.
I've got this fantastic recording by the sound recordist John Watson? Chris Watson. And it's on Holy Island, actually, weirdly, where we set Salty Dog. And he set his recorder up in amongst the rigging of all the boats down there at the front.
Oh, that's such
and
a
you can
lovely
hear
sound.
the rigging blowing in the wind, you can hear the wind, you can hear all the bird calls, you can hear oyster catches, and it's just gorgeous. And if I put that on, I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
Could we not buy a static caravan up at Haven Caravan Park, and then we could rent it out as we work in it, and then you could have it as a residency for good shippers to come
I am
and
not
stay.
even joking. I don't know why, because at the moment I am struggling for a studio space. Basically, my studio is a bit cold in winter and too small. And Frida has taken. I've said to Frida, "It's yours for as long as you want it. It's yours." And so she's taken over in there. I can't get in anymore, and I'm between books, so it's good. It's fine. I don't need it. And also, I love the kitchen table. Yes, a caravan. But I want not a static. I want one of those little round ones.
Yeah, they're the best.
Oh, that
A
would
little
be easy.
tourer, tiny little tourer. That's exactly what I want.
Where would you park it?
I don't know.
You can't see Helen, but she looks
Does
very
that?
excited.
We had a photo taken on Lindisfarne outside somebody's caravan. That's the one I want.
That's the one.
And it's down at the harbour. It's got fish. It's full of fishing tackle. I could pull that out.
There's another one. If you drive out by Ewart and Wooler, it's like
Yeah.
a tiny little, like the Father Ted, tiny little round one.
That's it. I want one of those. Yeah. I am genuinely excited by this idea.
Where are you going to put it? Just outside your house?
I don't know.
That's a mere detail. We'll work that out later.
Right, okay.
Buy it
This is
first.
a bit like the boat that we didn't buy. Do you remember there was one in the harbour? We're like, I think we have to have a boat. I'm still keen on a static caravan because that's what I remember.
Static is good. You've got more space, haven't you? And a round little old one is the same as the studio I have now. So maybe a static one is better.
Imagine a static one with a view right out to the sea, because I remember being in Dingle Bay with the gas fire and the big window and the little nylon curtains with the Velcro tiebacks.
Oh, one time I took the school hamster on holiday with us in the caravan against, my mum was not happy. And we all were against the curtains of my mum's brand new caravan with brand new curtains. The hamster ate the curtains. There was a massive hole in the curtains. I was in such trouble the next day. Hammy the hamster really let me down.
You had one job, Hammy. That was to not eat the curtains.
Okay, well, I wonder if there's enough in there to zone yourself, besides the old 19th century version of drink some laudanum, maybe take some drugs, get very drunk and splash the paint around. None of those are useful ideas. But
Magic dressing gown? I found it really...
yeah, that's true.
There's something about certain
damaging.
clothes that put you in that lovely... There's no pressure, because I've just got my old dressing gown over my old comfy clothes.
Big headphones.
Headphones that are really padded and soft, and a woolly hat maybe.
Yeah. I feel like they keep your brain in.
They do. Gillian O'Mara talks about that. She loves a woolly hat for working.
Yeah.
Warms your brain up or something. Just gives you that nice... It's like anything blocking the world out a bit.
When I was in Hong Kong and I had my own studio at home, at one point I went to work for the South China Morning Post, and I worked with the art director that had commissioned me for years. So I knew him, and we were in a small office. I went into, the centre every day, went to the 10th floor and worked in this office. It was just dreadful. I could not do a thing. I was paralysed because I wasn't at home. So that's when I needed the headphones, and I had to get recordings of... I think we could get Radio 4 on the computer at that point. It was like 1998 or something. So I could get all the sound stuff ready, either listen to the World Service or the Archers. But it was bizarre. I could barely work being in a space with other people, which was one of the things when we talked about getting a studio. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely to have a studio? We all work together. Actually, work with other people in the room.
Other people, yeah, because there's some studios going to open up around the corner from my house, and I am keen on it as long as my studio has a door. But even then, knowing that there's another door next door with other people, I don't know. Yeah. I did it once, but it was a shared studio, a big open space, and I could not work. I'd got no work done. I had to give it up really quickly.
I must say, my new studio, I miss my old one, because my old one was tiny and it felt like a little cave. And now I share one with Cameron, and it's big, and I just end up working at home all the time.
That's interesting.
Because I think I like the cave feeling and feeling like I'm in by myself. I also like working when I feel like nobody's going to bother me, which is just early in the morning, really. That seems to be the only time nobody emails, nobody's awake to ask for anything. It's completely bonus time.
I found that when Frida was small. When she was small, it was really helpful that I'm a lark who wakes up very early, because I could just get a couple of hours work done before anybody else in the house got up. It was a perfect time to work.
They're my favourite things.
Yeah, mine too.
I so admire people who say things like, yeah, I get a few hours work in before I have to pick up the kids, and then when they've gone to bed, maybe after dinner, I'll do some work. I don't know how people find the energy, but there are so many parents out there doing this in between a full-time job or childcare and managing to draw, particularly in picture book. Kudos to you people, because you might not be in the right mindset, but you know you've only got an hour. Make the most of it.
I feel like for a limited period of time, that's all right. When Pi was little, the reason I keep going between Frida and Pi is that she calls herself Pi, and it was basically her name. And on the internet, I only called her Pi while she was little, but she's given me freedom to call her Frida now. Frida and Pi are the same person. So during those years when she was little, I did work crazy hours because I didn't want to work when she was around.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take time off when she was at home. So, yeah. But I knew, it's a limited time, isn't it? I think if I'd carried on my whole career trying to work like that. Well, I did get burnout anyway. It was definitely something that could only happen for a few years. And I did get burnout. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
You can't carry on like that a whole career.
No, I feel like any time we've made new courses, that's been the only way to do it, is to get up really early.
Yeah.
And run away to the studio and do the things and then come home for breakfast. We're like, good morning.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God. But
you're right, it's not sustainable.
You know that
long-term.
it's not forever.
Exactly.
And because we're fired up with the ideas and we really want to do it, and it's a limited time, it's doable.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it was...
Oh, I could never get up. You know me. You're both larks. I'll stay
But
up
you
late.
can work in the evening after
Yeah.
you've eaten. I can't. I can maybe do an hour or so after I've eaten. I really enjoy our good ship things in the evening, art club or the
Yeah.
Zoom calls and stuff. But to go back into my studio with something I need to do, that feels impossible.
I did it for 2 or 3 years on some books, and I had to work every evening till sometimes I'd work till 2 in the morning.
Wow.
And of course I was a raging insomniac because I didn't connect the fact that the screen glare, despite the fact that I'd put night mode on and all sorts of things, however long I sat in front of the screen, that's how long I would be awake again after I got into bed. So it could be 4 hours. And it was just horrific. So I don't do that anymore. But I did for years. I just can't get up early and work. My brain won't do it.
Yeah.
It's amazing we managed to do this stuff together. We're all so different.
The middle of the day only.
Yeah.
I hope that helped answer the question.
Yeah. If you've got tips, you could put it on Instagram. Maybe you could add your tips on there and share with everyone.
We really like podcast questions as well.
Yes, ask us things.
Yeah.
All right.
Lovely.
Goodbye.
Bye.